I can see why some people would want to be a communist. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am back with another video. My name is Beijing Englishman, also known as Beijing. I am from the island of Barbados, also known as Little England. Hey, my bit of a British accent. Today we are going to be reacting to OverSimplified Russian Revolution. Let's get right into it, shall we?
This video was made possible by NordVPN. Click on the link in the description below to get an amazing 68% off a 2-year plan. Also, commemorating the weirdest bromance in history. Get your new character pins and Russian Revolution merch available now. Link down below. Hey Jimmy, it's the 1800s, an exciting time to be alive. Why don't you get out there and explore the world? Gee whiz, Mom, thanks. This place is amazing. Where am I? Why, you're in France, my boy. Here we come up with wacky new ways of running a country. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Whoa, welcome to the United Kingdom. Here we invented the...
France was not always like that. France was... Well, this is World War One. Okay, yeah, never mind. I was thinking about France, before, the Franco-Prussian War, before Napoleon III. Never mind.
Train. Oh, aboard! Holy smokes! You're in a German factory, my friend. Here we harness fire and coal to create all these sexy lederhosen. This is incredible!
But he is sugarcoating. This so much. This is not what factory life is like. I think anyone who would study a bit of history should know this is not what factory life was like.
I can't wait to see where I'll end up next. Where am I? You're in Russia. Have I gone back in time? No, this is just how it is. Are you a farmer? Worse. Technically, my landlord owns me, which makes me a serf. I'm scared. You should be, because I haven't eaten in 4 days, and you look pretty tasty. Hey, Jimmy, how are your travels? I hate you!
The Russian Revolution! Ooh, ad.
This planet's our only home. But we're not treating it that way.
Get rid of that.
Russia in the 19th century, feudal, underdeveloped, and stuck in the past. While the rest of Europe had been modernizing and improving their citizens' lives, Russia's rulers were taking a different approach. My lord, we're falling behind the rest of Europe. It's time to industrialize, give the people rights, and share your power. Russian czars had no time for pathetic ideas like liberty and modernization because they were too busy having the time of their lives. While the serfs were...
So this is before the French Revolution. Yeah, this is kind of like how the kings and queens were at before the French Revolution. It's interesting because World War One started because Germany thought that if they didn't start World War One, by 1917, Russians would get unstoppable. A lot of people were scared of Russia. They were terrified of Russia. I mean, yes, it was underdeveloped and backward, but interesting.
Bringing it back in the fields, the czars held all the power, and they didn't have to listen to anyone. Want to run the country like a backwards feudal kingdom while the rest of Europe outpaces you militarily and economically? Go right ahead. Want to keep the people uneducated so they don't get any ideas? There's no one to stop you. Want to keep exporting grain even when there's a massive famine causing hundreds of thousands to die? That is your God-given...
Oh my goodness gracious me. Dude, I'm so glad you point this out. Because I people like to bring up the stuff that the Soviet Union did. But they also completely forget that the Russian Empire, a lot of what the Soviets did, it came from the Russian Empire. But the Russian Empire was already doing it. But the Soviets just adopted it, right? Like the gulags. The gulags did not come from the Soviet Union, but yet many people they think that the gulags were a Soviet thing, a Soviet tradition. No, that's not true. It came from the Russian Empire, but a lot of people just completely gloss over that, and it really makes me mad.
Right. While all of this was great for the Tsar, if you were literally anybody else, it probably sucked because Russia was falling behind. If they were to keep up with Europe, they'd need a strong ruler with some big ideas. Oh look, here comes one now. Hey everyone, it's me, Tsar Alexander II, and I've got some big news. I'm releasing you all from your serfdom. You're all free. Yes! Yep, I'm the best. Oh, There is one thing, though. I spoke to your local lords, and they weren't happy about losing all their free labor. So as a compromise, you're all gonna have to pay them back a near impossible amount of money for the next 49 years. Expect your lives to barely change. Okay, bye. Now I know what you're thinking.
This reminds me of when Barbados was a colony of Britain, because we were a British colony, and when emancipation had happened and the slaves had gotten free, similar to this, the owners of slaves, they were not very pleased about that, and Britain had to compensate them for that. It wasn't like this, but the British population actually had to pay up with their own tax money to compensate for slavery being abolished, which is quite crazy. Because I think I read something about even like a couple years ago, like all that debt was even like paid off or something like 2060, something like that. If you know what I'm talking about, because I can't remember much of it, mention it in the comments below. But yeah, it's really bad. And not only that, but Britain also had to replace slavery with something else, right? So they went to India and they basically used Indians as essentially what was slavery. But for the black people, the evacuated population, the Caribbean people, their lives didn't drastically change, but it became much more tenable, to the least, right? But it was still very agrarian and whatnot, like the Russian Empire here. But emancipation happened in the British Empire in the 1830s, so.
This Tsar Alexander II seems like a pretty cool guy. He's trying to reform the country and get Russia on the right path. Everyone must love this guy, right? Wrong. Why does one man get to decide the fate of everyone in the country? This whole system is dumb. Somebody should do something. Like what? Like kill the Tsar. You're gonna kill the Tsar? Well, me? No. I'm busy. I was kinda hoping you'd do it. Okay. See? The people love me. They're throwing flowers, confetti, and high-grade explosives. Okay, Nicholas, your grandfather has a mild case of being blown up by a terrorist, and he's not looking too hot. So we're gonna go say our goodbyes, okay? No, it'll be too scary for him. Nonsense, it won't be scary at all. We're just gonna say a quick goodbye. Ready? Boy, look at me. The people did this to me. And one day, they'll do it to you! See? Wasn't scary at all. So Alexander II was dead, but luckily, they had another Alexander lying around, Alexander III, and he felt his dad's reforms had weakened the Tsar's authority. Russia was massive, and as a result, had many ethnic minorities. Non-Russians? More interested in their own cultural heritage than in loving me? Isn't it great? So much beautiful culture and diversity in our great nation. Alexander thought all these minorities should be a little more...
Oh, come on. I mean, if there's anything that has taught us, it's that you don't repress so much diverse people. I mean, sure, I used to say that I'm being a hindsight warrior, but at this point, like, I know that monarchs were very educated people, especially in history. Monarchs were very, very educated in history. And there's so much empires back in the past that was literally like broke apart because of so much ethnic diversity, and the kings and queens were not, well, they didn't care about the people. I mean, there's so much to learn, and it's crazy to me how even to that very point, they didn't really seem to learn. I know Austria-Hungary broke apart due to not like the same exact reason, but a similar reason as well.
Russian, and thereby loyal to him. So he repressed religious minorities. He repressed non-Russians. He introduced the Okhrana, a secret police force that repressed anybody who thought having a czar was dumb. If Alexander II was the great reformer, Alexander III was the great repressor. Now that's how you run a country. Hey, Dad? Ugh, great. It's my son Nicholas, who I like to call a girly girl because he's so weak and pathetic. When are you gonna grow up? You still look like a girly girl to me. But Dad, I grew a beard. Yeah, an ugly girly girl beard. If Nicholas was to one day be Tsar, he needed his dad to teach him how to run the country. But his dad instead suggested that Nicholas go somewhere else. So Nicholas went to Japan, got an edgy dragon tattoo, had his head sliced off by a policeman, and then came home. Now will you teach me how to rule?
The heck? How do you have your head sliced off by a policeman? Also a dragon tattoo. What? I'm gonna Google that dragon tattoo after that video. I wanna see.
I suppose it's time. Okay, there's a lot you need to know before becoming Tsar. Uh-oh. What? I've got kidney inflammation. Oh no! Upon his father's death, a totally unprepared Nicholas II ascended to the Russian throne. He wasn't a reformer like his grandfather, nor was he a repressor like his dad. Nicholas was Nicholas. Timid, easily swayed, and more interested in doing whatever the hell this is. Or this. Or this. He wasn't ready to rule, and he himself admitted it, saying, "I'm not yet ready to..."
So you were just your average Joe. To be honest, it could be better, it could be worse, like, compared to some of the other czars that Russia had, like, one that's there, it could be better, it could be worse. To be honest, I know Nicholas died. It's pretty sad the way how he died, and to be honest, I don't know. I think Russia should have stayed a monarchy.
Be Tsar. I know nothing of the business of ruling. Bit of an awkward time to bring it up. However, Nicholas firmly believed that he was chosen by God to be Russia's big daddy. And while he doubted his ability to rule, he was going to give it his best shot. And hey, who knows? Maybe he wouldn't be so bad after all.
Join large-scale battles with military vehicles. The online action game War Thunder has received a major...
To get things off to a good start, Nicholas promised free pretzels and beer to a huge crowd in Moscow to celebrate his coronation. So enticing a proposition to starving peasants that the ensuing stampede left nearly 1,500 people dead. What the hell happened? We're not sure, but you're scheduled to go party with the French at 8 o'clock. Shouldn't I stay here out of respect for the people?
How do you lose 50? What? That's 1,500. Holy Jesus. Did they like stop on each other or something? Wow, that is insane.
When have Russian czars ever respected the people? Nicholas's decision to go party with the French immediately tarnished his image. Some were calling him Nicholas the Bloody. The czars had been partying hard at the expense of the people for long enough. They'd emancipated the serfs, but failed to lift them out of poverty. They used their secret police to crack down on anyone who might criticize them, and they'd failed to modernize and give the people rights, something the rest of Europe had begun doing over a century ago. The rule of the czars was quickly becoming outdated, and more Russians began wondering if there was a better way. For many, the solution was simple. Just look to the West. Republics, democracies, and constitutional monarchies galore. But a small group...
I am a supporter of constitutional monarchy in Barbados, right? We used to be a constitutional monarchy with the personal union of the UK and the other Commonwealth realms. And I think there's like 15 Commonwealth realms right now. They used to be that way. We used to have the monarchy as head of state, which is now King Charles. He's the one who holds the crown. And I believe I'm saying constitutional monarchy. And when I see people say that, oh, monarchy is bad and outdated, it is not bad, it is not outdated. I don't like democracy. Democracy is too flawed. It is too flawed. The problem with democracy is that most people don't really care enough to vote. But the thing with the constitutional monarchy is that you have a proper head of state that is constantly in check, right? But not only do you have a head of state that is constantly in check, that head of state can exercise power when push really comes to shove, right? So it's a very delicate balance. That you still have a democracy, but you still have that leader that you really need. Like, just think about it, right? When you're running a company or something, right, you have a CEO. You don't elect people and every couple of years and throw them up. No, that's gonna like cause a bit of a ruckus. If there's one person's gonna focus on one thing and the next person is gonna focus on the other thing and all that. But like, trust me, I don't like any like democratic like republics and all that. I think constitutional monarchy is much more better. And Russia should have stayed a
growing group rejected that for an even better idea, a little something they called communism. Take Vladimir Lenin. an intelligent member of Russia's middle class, and also a massive ill-tempered jerk. If you disagreed with him about anything, he wasn't afraid to call you out. You fat-headed, simple-minded, vapid, cockeyed imbecile! Tenderheart Bear is a far superior Care Bear to Bedtime Bear! And he was no stranger to political unrest either. His older brother was executed for plotting to kill the Tsar, and Lenin himself was expelled from university for participating in a student protest.
Lenin is like me. Anybody who knows me will tell you that I am not afraid to call out anything. Yo, the thing about barbadians, right? Barbadians. Yo, Bajans have that same personality trait. Right? Bajans do not hold back. If you ever visit Barbados, Bajans are very lovely people, but don't get them angry.
But how did Lenin go from being a middle-class nerd to the arbiter of socialist divinity? Well, to tell that story, we first need to go back a few decades to when a man named Karl Marx wrote a manifesto explaining how capitalism is a system whereby the stinky bourgeoisie oppressed and exploited the working masses, and that only through class warfare could the workers rise up and instate a communist utopia. Now go back forward a few decades to Lenin reading that manifesto and loving it. But publicly admitting you loved Marx and not Russia's Big Daddy would get you the cruelest punishment imaginable. Exile to Siberia. Enjoy exile, where you'll live with your wife, chill around town, and secretly write socialist newspapers. Hey, that doesn't sound so bad. And your mother-in-law is going to live with you. No! Once Lenin finished his stint in Siberia, he left Russia for Europe, where he was free to hang out with other Russian Marxists and talk about how great communism was. Now today, you might hear the word communism and think of this. But that's not how intellectuals living under a tough czarist regime saw it. To them, communism promised a land where all were equal, where workers weren't exploited, and even people like you could get a girlfriend. So Lenin joined a party of Russian communists living in Europe, and he founded a communist newsletter that was smuggled into Russia to try to radicalize the people. However, not everyone in the Socialist Party agreed with Lenin. In fact,
so communism is what many documentaries that say what communism is and Marx and whatnot. And you know, it sounds great on paper, but the problem with communism is that it can't be properly exercised. That's the main flaw of communism. Communism cannot be exercised. So yeah, that's why I never really like to subscribe to that whole communist utopia crap. It has never properly been exercised. It's been tried so many times and it has failed. So if you take that part, maybe I would subscribe to that whole communist theory. Because capitalism is also pretty bad when it goes too far. But anyway.
They disagreed with him on a lot of issues, and Lenin was so uncompromising that he caused a split in the party. During one conference, a heated debate broke out, and Lenin was unwilling to give an inch. You pig-ignorant, half-witted, fatuous morons! Cereal is a soup! Listen, Lenin, you're a smart guy, but you have no idea what you're talking about. We're out of here. All in favor of cereal being a soup? Hey, would you look at that? We're in the majority. So Lenin set up his own faction within the party he called the Majority, or Bolshevik if you're speaking Russian. And the other faction became known as the Minority, or Menshevik. And oddly, the majority were often in the minority, and the minority in the majority. The Mensheviks were less radical, whereas Lenin wanted the Bolsheviks to be loyal to him and his uncompromising ideas. And if you weren't loyal, well then you're gonna get a big brain beatdown. Mensheviks worried that Lenin's attitude could lead to a one-man dictatorship. But come on, does this guy look like a dictator to you? For now, Lenin remained in Europe, writing his socialist newspaper and
Oh, Lenin wasn't as bad as Stalin, though. Oh my God, what Stalin did was, Stalin was the one who tarnished the reputation of the Soviet Union. Lenin genuinely had a dream, and he tried to exercise that dream, but yeah, it didn't really go well.
and impatiently awaiting an opportunity to overthrow the Tsar and bring communist utopia to Russia.
Enlisted is the free, brand new online World War II shooter. Command a squad of soldiers and participate in legendary battles.
Cool. A free hat. Who the heck are you? I'm definitely not a Russian secret police officer spying on Marxists. Oh crap, I don't want secret police watching me. Then you, my friend, should use NordVPN. Do you like having your identity stolen? If yes, Australian version / oversimplified in supporting my channel. So, oh yeah, a timid, easily swayed Tsar.
I'm too poor. There's no point in watching it. I'm too poor.
A massive ill-tempered jerk, impatiently awaiting a communist revolution. And revolution was coming. but not in the way Lenin thought. Back in St. Petersburg, one of the Tsar's most skilled and influential advisors knew the country finally needed to catch up with the rest of Europe. Hey Nick, we really got to industrialize, get more factories, and make some, I don't know, textiles or something. Won't that change the social fabric of Russia? Maybe. Hey, isn't it past your bedtime? But I haven't had my milk and snuggles yet. Will you snuggle me? Nicholas thought modernization was boring, but he let Sergei do his thing. And do his thing he did. He borrowed some money and got Russia some sexy factories. And you know what sexy factories means. Sexy workers. Dirt poor, sexy workers. Long hours, low wages, filthy disease-ridden factories. Sleep in overcrowded dormitories with all your stinky worker friends. Get your arm...
I mean, the conditions in the West weren't really any better in the factories. So, I remember back when people say that, oh, Russia needed communism, Russia needed the Soviet Union to happen, or it wouldn't have industrialized. And I personally disagree with that. Russia could have industrialized without having a whole different geopolitical entity take it over completely. So, and this is kind of proving my point. I mean, like, some people in Russia did think that Russia needed to socialize, but, well,
arms ripped off in a freak Russian doll accident. Conditions were terrible. But this growing working class wasn't about to take it lying down. They started to do what workers do best. Strike. Despite Sergei's efforts, people in Russia still weren't happy. Peasants were still poor, liberals still wanted reform, and now the workers wanted better working conditions. And the problem with being an autocrat is that when everyone's unhappy, there's only one person to blame. You. The people hate me. What do I do? Ooh, I know. Why don't we find a weak and pathetic nation to go to war with? We'll win easily, and everyone will love me again. Why don't we just try treating the people better? As luck would have it, an opportunity for war was forming in the Far East. Russia wanted to expand its sphere of influence into northern China, and coincidentally, so did Japan. But Japan didn't really want war, so they proposed an idea to reduce the tension. Hey man, we'll let you do your thing in Manchuria if you let us do our thing in Korea. I don't think so. We've got the largest army in the world. What do you have? I'm the Emperor of Japan. I have a giant mecha suit. Whoa. Cool. Nicholas and the boys didn't see Japan as a threat.
you see, I feel like if Russia was like more industrialized in Siberia, they could have defeated Japan, but they were not. So what happened is that, you got the largest army in the world, but they're all scattered and they're separated, and Japan isn't really that big compared to Russia. Japan is quite long. We're like the entire like US West Coast, like in terms of length, which is very, 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 very long, but in terms of like width and size, they're not really that big.
So they felt they could push Japan around. But little did they know Japan had been rapidly militarizing, and when they launched a surprise attack on a Russian fleet at Port Arthur, everyone was shocked. Nicholas hoped it was an opportunity to win a quick war and regain the support of the people. Nobody seriously thought a puny Asian country could defeat a European superpower, and the Russian people were filled with patriotic spunk. Hey everyone, we're at war with Japan! Hey everyone, we're losing the war. The Japanese won, an embarrassing defeat for Tsar Nicholas. Russia had enough problems, but now it had been internationally humiliated. The public were outraged. Unrest increased. Nicholas needed snuggles now more than ever. The tension was rising rapidly, and Russia was on the verge of revolution. All it needed was one disaster to push it over the edge. And that disaster would come in January 1905 from an unlikely source, a handsome Orthodox priest named Father Gapon. Father Gapon was leading workers and their families to the Winter Palace, but this wasn't some violent uprising, it was a peaceful protest. They wanted to deliver a petition to Nicholas, which simply asked for more freedom and better working conditions. The protest was actually so peaceful and respectful that the Marxists thought it was a big waste of time. Hey Nicholas, some priest is leading a peaceful protest. Says here they want to give you a petition. A peaceful petitioning priest? I better get out of here. Nicholas had actually left the Winter Palace days earlier, and in his place, they brought in a truckload of troops, ordered to stop Father Gapon from reaching the palace. Hello, good sir, and long live the Tsar. Please, allow me to pass this simple petition to our dear father, Nicholas II. Good day to you too. Please, allow us to respond by opening fire.
That's true. Oh my god. I was gonna laugh, but that is that's so sad.
What began as a peaceful protest ended in tragedy. Imperial soldiers opened fire on the crowd. Around 200 civilians died, 800 more were wounded. All they wanted was the opportunity to ask Nicholas to improve their lives. Instead, they were met with bullets. Nicholas didn't personally order the troops to fire, but as an autocrat, he got the blame. The event became known as Bloody Sunday.
The generals, the generals, the generals, the generals. You see, you gotta know who you put as your generals, man, because like in World War II, a lot of Mr. Smith, I'm gonna call him, a lot of mustache man and his generals did so much mistake, and well, like what he said, he took the blame because well he was the autocrat, right? And yeah, like even though he didn't like do the mistake himself, he still took the blame. But that's a whole different video. But oh, dude, that's just really tragedy.
And Nicholas's reputation plummeted. Strikes erupted across the empire. Workers' demands increased. Liberals demanded political power. Peasants demanded land. The country was out of control, and the 1905 revolution had begun. Listen, Nicholas, peasants seizing my land and murdering my family I can tolerate, but illegally chopping my wood? That's
Sorry, my laugh is weird.
obscene. And the worse I treat my workers, the more they strike. I don't get it. Everyone relax. As long as the military is still on my side, there's nothing to worry about. So
Oh my goodness, that hurt my chest. Oh gosh, this is why I have water here. If I laugh too much, it hurts my chest. I just drink my water.
the sailors are starting to mutiny. Well, my life just sucks. With Russia still losing to the Japanese, unrest was growing in the military, and some sailors had even taken to killing officers. Having the people against you was bad enough, but if the military joined in, it would be game over. To make matters worse, in October, workers and Marxists, including one Leon Trotsky, began setting up local elected councils called Soviets that coordinated strikes and supplied the workers. Sergei could see the writing on the wall. Things were going south fast, and he needed a big idea to save the Tsar. And luckily, he had just that. You see, all these angry people from different parts of society weren't really working together, meaning there was a weakness to exploit. Sergei wrote a manifesto that would give the liberals an elected assembly called the Duma. It took some convincing, but eventually, Nicholas agreed to share power and have his laws approved by an elected assembly. Hey liberals, here's your stupid manifesto. Happy now? We certainly are. But what about these guys? Aren't you gonna give them what they want? Oh, goodness no. I was just gonna kill them. With the liberals satisfied, and after ending
Oh, I like the pause when he just stops the music. Oh my gosh, dude.
ending the war with Japan, the Tsar brought thousands of troops home, who then dismantled the Soviets, arrested their leaders, and crushed the peasant uprisings in the countryside. And how about that pesky parliament Nicholas had agreed to share power with? Well, he then wrote a bunch of new laws, which basically said, hey, remember that manifesto I wrote and how you guys were going to approve my laws? Slight change of plan. Actually, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, and you guys are going to shut up. What? The people won't stand for this. People? What people? You know, this is why people don't like you. And just like that, Nicholas had survived the 1905 revolution. But wait, a revolution? In Russia? Where was Lenin? Well, Lenin and his communist pals were still in exile. He tried desperately to radicalize the uprising, but all he could do was watch. As the movements failed to organize, the liberals sold out the poor, and the Tsar outplayed the people. Furious, he believed Russia had missed a great chance for a real revolution. From now on, he felt the only way left was an armed revolution by the workers. Watching the events of 1905 unfold, Lenin learned a lot. The Tsar, however, would prove to have learned nothing. After the 1905 revolution had failed, the Tsar's new top man was Pyotr Stolypin, and he had big ideas to prevent any more chaos. Step 1, reform agriculture. This'll make the peasants love you. And step 2, we'll kill anyone who doesn't. To discourage
Oh, you're gonna have to get used to that laugh.
encourage any more revolutionary ideas, Stolypin began to crack down even harder on the Tsar's opponents, and thousands were sentenced to death. The noose even earned itself a new nickname, Stolypin's necktie. I don't get it. Oh, I see, because it goes around my neck. That's so funny. But despite the oppression, many positive reforms were also being made, and the Russian economy even began to improve. This was a problem for Lenin. If the people weren't suffering, then they wouldn't support a revolution. Still in exile and lacking funds, the Bolsheviks simply weren't in a position to do anything. Luckily, it was around this time that Lenin met an incredibly handsome Georgian with your second favorite historical mustache, Joseph Stalin. Lenin and
Stalin had another name. I forgot what it was, but he had another name. And I like the fact that he points out that Stalin was a Georgian, because I see so many people, when they talk about the Soviet Union, and they're like, oh, the Soviet Union is Russia, which it is not. But look at what Stalin did. Stalin, Russia bad, because Stalin. I'm like, bro, Stalin wasn't even a Russian, it's ridiculous.
Stalin met at a communist convention in Finland, and Lenin liked Stalin because he was a real go-getter and was great at fundraising for the Bolsheviks. And by fundraising, I mean kidnapping, robbing, extorting, bribing, ransoming, assassinating, prison breaking, stealing, bank raiding, executioning, and stealing again. Hey Stalin, the Mensheviks aren't so hot in all this stealing, but we still need money, so the next time you do a big heist, just do it quietly. Okay, quietly. Got it.
You're telling me one man did this. The only thing you know is he's a beekeeper.
A beekeeper,
If this isn't quiet, I don't know what is. Stalin's wacky antics eventually got him exiled to Siberia, but he had established himself as a big balls Bolshevik. However, no amount of Bolshevik bulls could stop what was happening. The Russian economy was making a recovery. For the Tsar, things were looking up. This is great. All Nicholas has to do is sit back and not mess anything up. Hey everyone, big news. I'd like to introduce you to my new best friend. He's a crazy, drunken, beardy, horny, scandal-ridden magic wizard man, and he smells like a goat. We're screwed.
Rasputin was interesting. Very interesting guy. The way how he died was kind of messed up. I don't know if he was voicing the Russian Tsarist, though. There's not enough proof that he was, but I don't know, he's the right thing to say that.
Rasputin, a dirt-poor peasant from dirt-poor nowhere. But unlike all the other dirt-poor peasants, Rasputin had holy healing powers. And when this holy mystic wandered into St. Petersburg, people began to notice. He quickly became famous, and word of this mystery man and his healing hands made its way to the royal palace. The appearance of a holy homeless healer was of great interest to the Tsar and his wife. As far as royals go, they weren't that inbred, but they were just inbred enough for their son Alexei to get hemophilia. Or in layman's terms, Mamma mia, that's a lot of blood! Knowing Rasputin could heal people, in 1906, Alexandra asked for Rasputin to come and see if he could cure their son. And crazy as it sounds, Rasputin did heal Alexei, possibly by taking him off his doctor-prescribed aspirin. Having seemingly done the impossible, Rasputin became very, very close to the
What did he do? Did he give him anything? Did he make him take herbivores or something, ants or something? But I know in the Caribbean, in Barbados, the older generation does this, not the younger generation. They have to easier thing that to give you the teeth. When you're sick or something, you're like, oh, it's there. I'm like, what the heck is that? Oh my god, we look like something with a weird plant or something like that. I don't know. If you're from the Caribbean, you know what I'm talking about. Little, have some weird stuff with grass or and maybe the chance would give you if you're sick or whatnot. I wonder if he did that.
royal family. But having a crazy homeless wizard man hanging around wasn't a good look for the Tsar, because Rasputin was freaky. Not only was he a big fan of alcohol, but he'd also throw these crazy parties with Russian nobility, where he'd and all night long, and then he'd his whole head hypnotic eyes, and nobody knew how the goat got on the roof. Initially, the press were banned from talking about Rasputin, but eventually, the ban was lifted, and the tabloids went to town. The whole thing was a huge scandal, and everyone was freaked out that this guy was influencing the Tsar and his wife. Nicholas could have
I want to say something, but I don't think I'm going to say
spent this
something.
period of relative peace improving his image. Instead, he spent it doing this. But as weird as the whole Rasputin thing was, so long as the economy continued to improve and the people's lives kept getting better, maybe Nick would be okay. Maybe there would be no more revolutions. Maybe this video could even end right here. Or maybe things were about to get worse. A lot worse. You see, the year is 1914, and that means it's time for World War I.
World War One. Ah, the war that broke Russia's neck. The war that the Germans needed to start to weaken Russia. It's crazy because sometimes I wonder what is World War One did not start. Like what would happen to Russia? Russia would probably be like in the same spot that America would be into there. Because a lot of people, you know, Russia has a population crisis because of like years of communism and whatnot. But anyways, y'all, thanks for watching the video. Subscribe for part 2 because I'm going to do a lot more reaction videos in the future. I'm going to react to part 2 of Oversimplified, guys. So if you like this content, if you like what I say, make sure to subscribe. If you like the video, and join my Discord server. That is all I have to say. Thanks for watching.